All right, so this morning I got a comment from someone who really enjoys this channel, and they were talking about a system that you can put into place to keep yourself from being completely destroyed by Evil Corp mentally. Because if you're like me, you've been burnt out for years on the crap job. And the fact is that that crap job's not going to get any better if you move across the street and you're doing the exact same job. The jobs we do for money right now aren't giving us the right direction. We're heading in the wrong direction all the time. Because if you're like me, you're working a job that has nothing to do with your education, has nothing to do with your future. It's just a paycheck. You go there, they give you money, you come back the next day and they give you money, but it has absolutely no meaning beyond that. I never wanted to work in computers. Like, I've been trying to get out of it my whole life. But sometimes you get pigeonholed into something because you've just been doing it for so long. And I've seen this with retail workers, is where they'll start working like in a Kroger's during high school and they may actually go to college. They may have a 4 year degree, but they'll leave college, go out and look for a job, find a job that they find more unpleasant than the grocery store. So even though they have a 4 year degree, they still come back to work in the grocery store and they become middle management, right? They're never going to be the general manager of the store because that's a career. The person who's going to work that middle management position is going to be a $20 an hour worker and they're going to stay there for as long as they can because they've gotten comfortable being there. It's a job that's within their aptitude and they know that they've looked for work in other industries and they just haven't found anything that they find not as horrible. And this is kind of the situation that I'm in. It's just a job like every other job that I've ever had, except it's much more stressful. It's much more demanding and it's much more depressing at the same time. And I don't like it. And I have never liked it, but sometimes we have to convince ourselves that we have to do things that we don't like in order to survive. And I think that's where the proletariat is right now. We're all working these dead end jobs for corporations that don't like us, and we don't like them. They treat us like garbage. They put us down. They call us names. They make fun of us inside of their private meetings. They tell us we don't matter and that they pay us nothing because we don't matter. You will own nothing and be happy is the motto of every evil corp in America. And that's the way they like it. They don't want people getting ahead. They don't want people doing better. They don't want people getting comfortable. And the last thing they want is for this country to give the poor people universal basic income. Because the more comfortable they are with the money that they have, the less likely they are going to take those bottom tier positions. Because if you're like me, you're working a desperation job. You only do this because you're absolutely desperate to pay your rent, to pay for gas, to get you from the Promobile to the work, and from work back to your ghetto apartment, like where I live. And that's the end of our lives. There isn't much fun mixed in. Most of us have no friends or family. We just sit here waiting for the work to start, and whether it's at this evil corp that you're at currently or whether they're going to fire you in the near future, many of us don't have the job security that we need. In fact, poor people don't really have anything that they need. They don't have safe housing. They don't have enough income. They don't have a significant other because being with someone is expensive. Being in a relationship, unless the other person makes exactly the same amount that you do, can cause dysfunction in the relation, especially if one person makes significantly more than the other person, because this means that you're going to go out to dinner and the person that makes more money is going to order steak. And the person that doesn't have any money is going to order water and an appetizer. That's how bad it gets in a relationship because you get tired of supporting people that aren't worth supporting. Because when you think of a relationship, it's a business agreement. It's a relationship, and this is something that my one of my psychology professors told the entire class. When you get married, make sure that you get into a contract with another person that's as good as you are. Don't go below your level, or else it's going to cause problems. And I've seen this my whole life, where you go out to eat with someone who knows that they're not going to pay, and they suddenly want to order the lobster, or they want to order something that you wouldn't typically order because it's too expensive, but they don't care. And unfortunately, that causes resentment, and you only tolerate it for so long. And I mean, it's usually the person who makes the more money is the male, but not always. I went out with a woman who had lots of money, like a lot of money, and I I used her for a place to live for a long time, and it was understood that she had the money and I had no money. In fact, I probably wasn't even working half the time that I knew her because I have a really hard time finding work. As I've told you guys before, I've been unemployed for extended amounts of time throughout my entire life because there are only so many jobs in our society, and there are tens of millions of people all competing for the same resources at the bottom. So you can only pick and choose the jobs that are available to you with the limited skill set, limited experience, and limited education. That's all you get. You have to go for the low-lying fruit, and all the fruit at the top of the tree is just completely out of reach. You're never going to get to that fruit. And most people don't want to believe that. Most people believe that as long as you work hard and that you keep trying to reach that top tier fruit, that eventually you'll get there. And I always like to include relationships in there because if you're a low tier person and you want a high tier person, you will never be in a situation where you're going to be able to honestly talk with that person up there because they're not going to give you the time of day. They're going to look at your clothes, they're going to look at your hands, they're going to look at your overall face and appearance. They're going to be like, you know what? I can tell by looking at people if they're poor. There's the salon girl number two. I said this to her on Saturday. You need to stop looking poor because she just looks wretchedly poor. And people who look poor are discriminated against in our society. Let's just face it. And if you're a person that's short, you're overweight, you're ugly, you're dark, and you're working at McDonald's, that rich person that walks in isn't even going to consider you another human like them. So you're going to run into this barrier. It's an invisible barrier that we all run into when it comes to anything good, anything that the proletariat wants to get their grubby little hands on. A fancy Susie Rotten Crotch. Let's say Johnny Sixpack is spot Susie out there behind the Taco Bell, and he sees that Susie's got like a diamond necklace. She's wearing Gucci shoes, and she's driving $100,000 vehicle. What chance does Johnny Sixpack have at bagging that bear? Not one chance in a million. Because she's going to look at Johnny's six pack. She's going to see the bulge in his pants. She's going to see the lust in his eyes. And she's going to say, oh my God, what is that? And then he'll look at a rich woman and say, I'm the proletariat. Come on, baby. We're getting it on. Boom, boom, boom. I was just telling a person that I was giving a ride to the other day about a movie from the I believe it was the 1980s. I wish I had come up with it, but it's a movie called Used Cars. And I have this image of a guy giving it to a Susie in the back of a hatchback. And I don't know why that image just burned into my head, but that's exactly what I'm talking about. It's just going to give it hard and fast, and it's going to be a bump and dump. But I have no idea where I'm going on this tangent, so let's get into our three talking points. I've already wasted half the video on this monologue that makes absolutely no sense, but that's why you guys are here. If you wanted to watch things that make sense. You'd be at a TED Talk, you'd be at MSNBC, you'd be watching Joe Rogan or Dave Ramsey. Instead, you're here. I have no idea why you people keep coming back here for these ridiculous rants of mine. Anyhow, 3 talking points. Let's get in the first one. Your job, especially if it's not fulfilling or low paying, doesn't define who you are or what you're capable of achieving. All right, Susie, you're working at the mall. You're working in a fast food location at the mall. And and you're not young anymore, right? You did this while you were in high school. You have a little community college, and you're waiting for your career to take off. Well, if what you're doing doesn't define you, once you get into those mid 30s, you realize that the gates of better world have been closed to you for a very long time. Or, in fact, they never opened in the first place. And I am talking about me. The doors never open to a better life. You live in a pathetic little hole in the wall apartment in a place that should have been condemned 50 years ago. And yet you're still sitting there telling yourself that it doesn't define you, that you're capable, your capability of achieving more. I've thought about this all the time. Like, well, when am I going to achieve more? And the fact is, you're not. So when people say happy-go-lucky things like this, like your job is not fulfilling and your pay is low, that's what life is like for the proletariat. You're not going to suddenly wake up and think, "Oh my God, I haven't achieved as much as I wanted to and I'm 30 years old." That is not going to happen. You're going to have to live in a world in which you don't understand what's happening to you. Year after year goes by and you don't know what's happening to you. You just suddenly, you're going to be at a job you don't like. Let's say it's in an office, and suddenly you realize something's wrong. You smell a bit of alcohol, like a person that's been drinking too much. You hear cold footsteps come up to your door, and suddenly your tidy whities have been ripped from around your waist, and something is fleecing you. And you wonder, what is that? It's called life. Life is fleecing you right then and there. And you're just like, well, I don't like this. That's what I tell myself every single day. I don't like this. And guess what? Life puts up its middle finger at you and says, guess what, millennial steam? You're going to get more of this. And you're like, oh, no, no, that's not for me. I don't want any of that. And then life gives you 4 fingers instead of just one. And you know where those cold fingers are going to go, right? Right back there where the sun doesn't shine and you don't want anything back there, anywhere near your escape hatch. But there you are, assuming the position, hands up against the wall, and something bad happening to you. And I call it Evil Corp every day. That's what work does to us every day. That's how I feel about work. And telling yourself that things are going to get better, that somehow you're going to have the dignity of keeping your pants on all day, it's just not going to happen. I've spent my entire life walking around with my tidy whities between my ankles because that's life. That's how life is for the proletariat. We may say no, but life says yes. We don't consent to being poor. Poverty isn't a choice. I don't consent to having those fingers put into my and then being told to work harder. After you get fleeced, the insult comes when they ask you to work harder after you've just been worked harder. And you're just like, well, what can I do? It's like nothing. Life doesn't care. We don't get to pick and choose whether or not we get fleeced. It's just part of the game. And sometimes I ask myself, well, why do I want to keep playing this game if I lose every single day? Because you don't have a choice. They're never going to give you much of a choice. Your housing isn't a choice. Your partner isn't a choice. Your job isn't a choice. And the can of dog food that you get every day that's supposed to last you 24 hours isn't a choice. The can of dog food is a requirement of this life because everything is so expensive. The same can of dog food could be used for your home. They could give you a cardboard box and put proletariat affordable housing on the side of it, and that's where you're going to live because that's how life is. Life is cruel to poor people. And I'm here to tell you that every single day because as a poor person, life is unbearable. It's unaffordable. It's un American. That's what life is. Moving on to talking point number two. Keeping your life outside of work vibrant can fuel your motivation to keep going. I just love these things, don't you? Keep your work keep your life outside of work vibrant. Now, I'm thinking vibrant. I'm thinking of something vibrating here. Something vibrating into you. Because that's the only vibrant part of your life. When you feel the vibrations back there, the rest of your life is a joke. There is no motivation, there is no hope, and there is no luck for escape. We're all in the wage cage together, and trying to fill your life outside of work with vibrations is not going to motivate you to do any better. Because you could have all the motivation in the world, but as long as you're poor, it doesn't matter. Escaping poverty doesn't come with instructions. Unfortunately, the brochure that says that you must do this, this, and this, and then you get to escape to the nice part of town doesn't happen. You're stuck there like I've been stuck my whole life. I've looked for a way out of the wage cage my whole life. I started digging straight down in the wage cage trying to get free, and all that happened was that I just dug my way all the way over to the other side of the planet, and I realized that the wage cage was here too. That's how bad it is for the proletariat. All right, I'm running out of time. I want to get to talking point number three. Despite the financial and time constraints, your dreams are still alive. Now, oh my God. You know what? I need to print that out and put that over my desk at work. Your dreams are still alive. Well, if your dreams involve drinking, substance, Susie Rottencrotch, and a car that may or may not explode before you get to your job in the morning because it's so crappy and so poorly maintained. If that's your keeping your dream alive, then those are the dreams that are sustainable. The dreams of being wealthy, the dreams of having a great relationship with a very attractive person, your dreams of financial comfort, your dreams of owning a home, your dreams of having a job that doesn't make you want to puke every morning when you get there. Those dreams, I have no idea why this chat GPT wrote these points like this. This isn't applicable to ordinary people. Our dreams have been crushed for our entire lives. The second I got a job in my life, my dreams went away because I realized that this job wasn't meant so much for dreams as it was for dog food, housing, and Susie Rottencrotch on the weekends. That's it. There are no dreams. And the subtext of this, it says dreams are real even if they're on hold. They may be waiting for the right opportunity or resources, but that doesn't make them any less real. Reassuring yourself and others that it's okay to take small steps towards your dreams can make the journey feel more achievable. Now, isn't that sweet? Telling the proletariat that they can put their dreams on layaway. That's actually what came up in the script. Put your dreams on layaway while you work at the bottom, and eventually, if you make enough payments on your layaway, you will be able to get that dream. If your dream is a second can of dog food in a 24-hour period, that's where your dreams should be. Having a home that's not infested with cockroaches, that's a dream. Being able to afford a car that doesn't feel like it's going, like, as you're driving down the road holding the steering wheel, like the wheels are about to pop off and the engine's about to explode out in a mushroom cloud, and that the seats are just going to drop out, and you're going to fall through the floorboards. That's a dream. That's a dream that many proletariat men have, and women, I imagine. I don't really know that many proletariat women that would appreciate this channel. But again, remember, guys, this channel's about being funny. And for toxic positivity, it's the whole freaking video. This whole idea that you just have to believe in your dreams and they will come true. I can't even hold a straight face anymore. I try to stay serious as much as I can. All right, guys, I failed at doing toxic positivity today because I find myself hilarious.